publishers no longer promote series as series, at least not until they can gauge the success, because they know they'll have trouble selling book two if book one doesn't find a large readership. Self-contained storylines allow readers to come in at any point and not be put off if they haven't read or can't find the earlier books in the series. The drawback to this is that your characters and your relationships generally can't change much because readers will be lost if they read books out of order. So it's difficult to develop complex character arcs, and of course multi-volume story arcs are right out. Continuing arcs. These are series in which a storyline is planned to continue over several volumes. There are several different types of arcs, and your series may involve one or all of them. These arcs also apply at the book level. First, you have character arcs, in which the character grows and changes over the course of the novels. There will be noticeable improvements or goals achieved along the way, but the self-actualization won't be achieved until the final volume. The character arc might be about redemption, learning to trust, finding inner strength, going from loner to somebody who functions as part of a team, or any number of things. Serendipitously, Carrie Ryan did a wonderful blog today on Magical Words about character arcs, where she has a great explanation, and I'm quoting here. At the beginning of my stories, I take the character and force them to endure some sort of test. They always fail. Then they spend the course of the book going through all these various experiences during which, hopefully, they learn something. At the end of the book, that character faces another test, almost parallel to the one at the beginning, but not exact. And he either passes the test because he learns the skills necessary over the course of the book, or fails because he refused to change and grow. She continues, really what this means is that you're creating a snapshot of who your character is in the beginning of the story, and then another one at the end, so that your reader can compare the two and recognize how the character has grown. I think that is one of the most succinct descriptions of character arcs that I've heard. Villain arcs. This is an arc in which the hero or heroine may defeat part of the villain's spell or strategy with each book, but the antagonist, him or herself, escapes and isn't caught or defeated until the arc is complete. There will be battles along the way and a final cataclysmic showdown. For anyone who's watched the television series The Profiler, this was the case with the story involving the serial killer jack of all trades. Plot arcs. This is a continuing storyline where some of the subplots may be resolved from book to book, but the main conflicts carry over. I'm thinking here of the intrigue in Lynn Llewellyn's Night Runner series, particularly the first two books, Luck in the Shadows and Stalking Darkness, Stephen R. Donaldson's Mordant Mead series, and George R. R. Martin's Game of Thrones. Often authors strike a balance between self-contained volumes with enough closure that the reader is satisfied and open-ended plot strands so that the fans want to keep reading to find out how they resolve. Cliffhangers are perfectly valid as well. See again Stephen R. Donaldson's Mordant Mead series, but they can be tricky. They can either make readers hungry for more or irritate them, particularly if they have to wait too long for the next volume. In fact, and this is one of the cons of multi-book arcs, readers who have been frustrated in the past because a publisher has canceled a series before it resolves sometimes wait until a series is complete before buying any of the books. In marketing terms, this can stymie sales of the early volumes, making cancellation a self-fulfilling prophecy. The best thing all readers can do to support an author or series they enjoy is to buy the books when they come out. Particularly with linked series where the arc continues over several volumes, the stakes should be upped throughout so that each book starts with higher stakes, greater conflict, and has a bigger finish. In other words, if the first novel is a fight, the second would be a battle, and the third would be a war, or even an apocalypse or the thwarting thereof. The consequences of failure should be more catastrophic, the obstacles more insurmountable, but then likely the knowledge and power of your protagonists will have grown as well. Before we move on, I'm going to say one more thing about plots. Twists are practically vital. If a reader can see how things will play out from the get-go, there'll be no need for them to read on until the end. Keep things unpredictable. Throw a monkey wrench into the works now and then. Idea generation. When plotting, it's very likely that the first few ideas you come up with are your defaults. They'll come easily to you because they're tropes. They're common and comfortable. You're going to want to challenge yourself to think outside the box. Remember grade school brainstorming? Go wild, then pull back. It's a lot easier not to go too far than it is to go too far. Try combining disparate elements in a unique way. What about a werewolf who's allergic to fur, or a vampire cat, which Christopher Moore gives us in his best-selling novel, You Suck? I'm sure you can come up with even more creative examples. Now, in addition to being an anthropology and English writing double major, I had enough credits on my college transcript for a theater minor. And there was an exercise we did that I think would be particularly useful and relevant to writers, especially for learning to put everything together, characterization, plot, and scene development, into interactions rather than exposition. It's called first line, last line. In this exercise, two people sit on chairs in the center of the room while others suggest lines, generally chosen to throw the actors. They might be bizarre, like, did you hear that someone dyed the new panda at the zoo purple? Or leading, like, the doctor gave me 2 months. Either way, a third party, like the professor, would pick two, one as a first line and one as a last. The actors would have to get from point A to point B using nothing but dialogue and visual cues like facial expressions, body language, and blocking to develop characters, their relationships to each other, and a logical scene without discussing how they were going to do it. It's sheer improvisation. One actor has to play off the cues the other gives and vice versa. As an author, what this teaches is how to integrate scene setting, role building, and characterization, how to think on your feet, and how to go with the flow when your characters throw you a curveball. And they will, because all the best characters live and breathe and have minds of their own. For some good writing exercises, you might also want to check out Stephen Harper's Writing the Paranormal novel, in which he offers up writing exercises of all kinds. It would be exhaustive to do them all, I'm sure, but if you work on those within the areas you struggle, and we all have them, you're bound to learn something from them. Okay, now I'm going to talk about presentation and pitch. Your pitch should include the following: who your main characters are and what makes them unique. Note, tell us what it is that makes them unique. Don't tell us that they are unique. If that's not clear, you're not doing it right. Also tell us what are your main internal and external conflicts and what brings all the action to a head. This can be a teaser. We don't necessarily have to know the ending in the query letter, in your pitch, but we do have to know the major players and what's at stake. Remember that authors aren't the only ones who need to do pitches. Agents pitch to editors. Editors pitch to their team in order to generate excitement to make an offer for the work. They have to talk about the book at cover conferences and sales conferences. It's very handy to have a concise, striking way to talk about a book that immediately makes it stand out. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples from recent pitches for my authors.